So first of all, this isn't the natural state. This is time, and this is the fulcrum of an event happening. And let's call it a difficult event. Something happens when you're young. It's difficult. Maybe somebody hurts you, or I don't know. And that's what's happening here. And there's a response in the body mind. There's a kind of energetic charge of feeling which wants to arise and come out. And these are primal feelings. So it's like fear, sadness, or anger, or whatever. So that's step one. If we move on in time a bit, step two, if these primal feelings are felt because we're in full feeling engagement with life, the charge of that feeling diminishes, it recedes, the event is released, and then it only exists as a memory, psychological memory that can be recalled, but there's no real emotional charge to it. So it's been through its evolution, and it's risen, and it's passed, and it's complete. So that's fulfilling engagement in life in the natural state. So by contrast, let's go here next. So we're talking about when we lose the fulfilling engagement with life. So we've got the same situation, but let's just say the event is an event that becomes your wound. So that's here. So here's the event. Again, there's a response in the body mind of feelings, and there's an energetic charge again that wants to come out. And there is again a primal feeling. So maybe there's fear in it and there's anger in it. So then we go to step two. And for whatever reason, it could be, for example, you've learned that I can't take too much attention, so otherwise I'll lose the laugh. So I better kind of keep this inside. I better repress it. There's all sorts of reasons that we learn not to come out with it. There's fear of being told off. There's all sorts of things, but we're not really talking about all of that. Whatever the reason is, this feeling that wants to rise up through with the energetic charge is met in us with repression. So the original feeling is rejected. And then we have this situation where the primal original feeling here is the white, is pushed down, and the energetic charge around it builds, and there's this lid on of repression. And basically, through time, it becomes emotion. So what was a pure feeling that just wanted to pass through becomes an emotion. And then that you can see is like a building block of personality. There's a wound in the middle, this whole thing going on here with the lid on. And you can imagine, there's others of these that build, maybe around fear, or we have strategies and patterns, but this is like a building block of personality. And finally, I've just done this as a sort of overall, overview of right at the center at the beginning was the wound. Then there was the primal feeling that you lost touch with. There's the personality's intent to repress that because, whatever reason we talked about this is too painful. I won't be able to bear it. I shouldn't be like that. All sorts of reasonings it comes up with. And then you end up with, on the top level, the emotion. So when we're getting triggered, we're getting kind of hit in this area. The emotion is being hit, and it's got this charge to it, which wants to come out in a sharp arrow, and kind of, it wants to discharge. It wants to offload that energy. So this is when, for example, we have anger repressed and somebody triggers it by whatever reason, and they get this charge from your history, all of it kind of in a one moment going on them. And obviously that doesn't feel good, and it's not really fair. and the charge is released temporarily, but it's only the emotional charge is released, and it doesn't really go away because the root of it hasn't been reached. The root of it is down here, is the feeling, the primal feeling. And so when we're talking about healing, we're talking about going this like deep dive through this. You may have to feel that, there's a level where you go through that. You feel, all right, there's emotion, but that's not the core of it. And you don't get stuck in that. When you can start hitting this, then there's healing, because when this is felt, you go right back to the beginning. And the more that can be felt, the more this can then, the emotion becomes defunct, really. It's not being fed anymore.
What is it that's doing the repression in step 2 there?
Yeah, that's a good question, isn't it? Yeah, it's something in us has become self-conscious and starts reacting to life outside, and that has got kind of rules to it, like, oh, you don't say that, or we're not too noisy, or oh, we control ourselves here, or these sort of messages come into our consciousness. They start outside of us, but they end up inside us, and they start being laws that we run by. So there's that critical moment where we move from, you have a feeling, you feel it, it's gone, to this, which is like a major different step in things when a repression comes in. But it's a good question. It's like, yeah, we don't have the consciousness to choose not to repress. We're kind of brainwashed. We're told how, we're young, we don't know anything about the world. We're told how to be, and we fit in because we don't know anything else. We don't have the consciousness to say, well, I've got a feeling and I need to feel it. Fuck you. We don't have that. So we're molded by our environment, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine having it, just for me, like having a sense that, my mother couldn't handle it.
Yes. Yeah. And you can imagine you just even subliminally, but maybe also on the surface, picking that up.
Yeah.
Because we're guided by what gets us the love that we need.
Yeah.
And if we find out, oh, they don't like it when I do this, the other side of it is they like us when I don't do this, which results in, maybe, oh, if I'm quiet, I won't lose the love. If I follow this energy, this charge that's arising in me, I will lose the love. It's quite an interesting view of the personality, like this is the emotional side of the personality, I guess. We could have a few of these. We could have one for sadness, one for anger, which was originally wood chi, one for, yeah, all sorts of things. And then we've got within here, you could go on, you could say, well, then there's strategies that you have, and there's beliefs that you have, and all of that together builds this gray area, which is the personality. Yeah.
Do we just have one wound, or don't we have or can we have many wounds from the past?
There's two steps. There's the original state, and then there's not the original state. So at some point we kind of cross that line into the repression of feeling and the loss of the original state. So it had to happen with one event, and then other events kind of just bed it in. They replicate the same setup probably, and so it just gets stronger and stronger, really. But there would have been one originally. There had to be the first one, the first time.
And then it gets triggered and triggered and triggered over and over again throughout life, right?
Yeah, that's right. And unless you address this, it will get triggered and you will carry all this. And of course, that also is it's in the psychology, but of course it's in the body too. So it's no small thing for us to carry this. And of course, to heal it is no small thing, because this timeline, you know, we're all different ages, but it's a long time. And we get used to living in a certain way. So just the ability to conceive that you could, well, first of all, I think I was saying this last week, first of all, you got to see what's there. Like, if you don't know any of this is going on, you go through life with this in your system, and people say things, and you're triggered here and you're triggered there, and you think it's who you are. It's a result of this. So it's who you become, maybe, in the personality, but it's not who you are. So the first step is to realize, yeah, I'm not that. It's what I've become. And to have the choices, awareness on, oh, hang on a minute, that was an emotion, that was uncalled for, you know, that person didn't really deserve that kind of hit of anger or whatever. So that's step one. So it's before you can't get to any healing until you're aware of it. But as you become more aware of it, it's almost like you've got X-ray vision, and you start to see this in you. You start to see, oh yeah, that's that emotional line going back.